Hello, Scorpios. It's your turn for your reading for the month of March. I hope you guys are doing well. Basically, what I'm going to do here is basically say, what's the theme of the month of March for you, and what it is to look out for in March, and the challenge. So I'll work on shuffling the cards and then come up with what it is to look out for in March for you guys. Or what to expect. I keep forgetting the words. Alright, what to expect for Scorpios for the month of March. What is the challenge, and what is the theme of March? What does Scorpio need to expect for March?
Damn soon.
Oh, that came out. Oh, 4 cards all over. Alright, you have the 7 of Wands. You have the Knight, or I was going to say Knight of Cups. The King of Cups. The 4 of Cups. The 8 of Wands. The 4 of Wands. The 2 of Cups, and the World. Oh, it's kind of confusing. Alright, not very organized here. Usually I'm organized, but I just wanted to do it this way. It's a lot easier sometimes. Alright. The feeling of this, first of all, this is not the first card, but the King of Cups, you could be dealing with another water sign. I just feel like some of you, this is a first, or general reading. Some of you have been struggling to persevere. Some of you have been struggling, to, balance yourself out in a situation and dynamic. But I just feel like, whatever it is, whatever you're trying to succeed, you've had to deal with disappointment moving forward. It could be on a communication level. Or it could be dealing with this water sign and how to communicate. You possibly could have had a disappointment when it comes to another water sign on how to communicate. And, you did your best, I feel like, and you gave your best. But I just feel like, there's kind of a blockage. Or it's possible with it being like this. It's not in reverse. Sorry about that. Maybe you want communication with another water sign, but also too, you're having to deal with the disappointment of it. So it's kind of like either or maybe they want to communicate with you in some dynamic, I'm feeling. Now with the 4 of Wands and the 2 of Cups and the World card, I'm feeling like things are changing within, the dynamic of relationships. Like maybe there's some imbalances that you're having to deal with when it comes to, love and romance, or, you're trying to balance that out, I feel like, Scorpions. But I just feel like, with the World card, that has to do with harmony. I just feel like some of you really want harmony when it comes to all your relationships, whether it's a love interest or just people in general. And I feel like, you see things more clearly, but I just feel like, there's this disappointment that you've had to deal with recently with some people. Now let's see what the challenge of the month of March is for Scorpio. What is the challenge for Scorpio for the month of March? some of you may be possibly just tired of trying with certain people. Like, you've given so much, I'm kind of feeling. So you have the Devil card. So I'm feeling with this being the challenge of the month, you know, something in some way could be toxic. You know, you could have an addiction. Someone else could be having addiction. Or maybe you're in a dynamic where it's a very toxic dynamic or relationship. So do be careful with that, because I feel like, you know, it's easy to, you know, overspend. It's easy to get into a type of love dynamic where it's toxic in some way, or maybe in some way you're being toxic. I don't want to be mean about that, but it's like maybe you or other people around you are being toxic. Anyway, so do be careful not to, you know, put yourself in those bonds that in some way entrap you. And maybe you're feeling like that. That's the challenge. You're feeling trapped. You don't know how to release this. Now, usually if the Devil card's in reverse, that means freedom. But for some reason, there's, you know, in some way you're having a challenge when it comes to an addiction. It could be, you know, a strange addiction that you have, or just something you internally are dealing with from people or just situations. So be careful with that. Okay, so what is the theme for Scorpios for the month of August? For the month of March, what is the theme for Scorpio for the month of March? Alright, so the Chariot card. So I feel like, you know, moving forward, you know, it's about something, deciding on something, on, you know, your relationships. It could be about, you know, your finances. But I just feel like there's a lot of movement forward, I'm feeling, especially with that being, you know, the theme. So direction. It could be a love dynamic. You're trying to figure out where you stand. You know, a lot of the energies going on with the planets, you know, it's getting everybody in the thinking mode, into consideration of what they want in a relationship. So I feel like maybe you and another person are traveling, or, you know, a lot of movement happening in the month of March, I'm feeling. But yeah, be careful when that Devil pops up, because it's not necessary, you know, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, you know, it could be anything. You know, a strange addiction, toxic situations, toxic people, things that don't really serve you. And it's just maybe enslavement. Maybe in some way, you know, people that you know or someone you're with, you know, it's not a good scenario, I'm feeling, when it comes to that. Anyways, that's what I'm feeling for you all. Bye-bye.